Hello, Taurus. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm going to use the Morgan Greer Tarot, Supportive Oracle Cards, Energy Oracle Cards by Sandra N. Taylor. Bum ba bum bum bum. I'm all about the bum ba bum bum ba today for some reason. So there's that. This is ooh. Okay. Let's get the tarot cards out first, just to be sure. It must be a good time for Earth signs. I think all three of you were really, really good. Okay. Like, that's a really good end. I think it's good the whole way through, I gotta be honest. It must be a really good time for Earth signs. Like, what are we in Taurus? We are in Taurus. That would make sense. That would make sense. Okay, this is what's starting the whole situation off. Two cards face down, which are action and walking away. Oh, and the world card right after it. They're not going to let me escape this one. Something is leaving your life. That's how this started. An abrupt ending. This is face down, the action and the walking away, and the world right after it. Something major left your life. Something major. It was either a person or a situation. Done. Gone. And when it's face down, I don't think you were planning for that to happen. I think it just left. Whatever it was, just kind of left. You got the throat chakra, which is the third chakra. Not the third chakra. What number is that? The fifth. Fifth chakra, the blue chakra, plus constraints. And it says financial constraints, but when I'm feeling it, yeah, it could be financial. It could be. That would make sense. But it's kind of like this is something that you're trying to talk it out. You're trying to work it out. Nothing you can do about it. No matter what you say or what you do, it doesn't seem to fix the situation. Nothing seems to fix it. Something ended. Just flat out ended. You try to work it out, though. And I'm even getting here like the Eight of Pentacles afterwards. Kind of like you even tie up loose ends. Like it might have been over. It might have ended. But there's still responsibilities on your side. Like, well, I still have to finish this up, and I still have to. I can't just leave that hanging. I have to finish this. I have to finish that. And you do what you have to do, as far as you can. But there's going to be some things here where you can only do so much. And I'm telling you, this is going to go well because the rest of this is really good. But something here left you. This might be one of those dark blessings where you didn't like it when it ended, but it opened the door for something else because. You do what you can to finish things up and to tie up loose ends, but there's only so much you can do and you have to walk away because there's only so much you can give. What I'm getting, though, is, like, literally, this is judgment in your favor and success. It says contract, but I'm getting, like, a contract might have ended abruptly. And it's not your fault, not your problem. It's not your fault. Let's just leave it at that. Ended abruptly. Success is here with the Six of Wands. Judgment in your favor. It doesn't. I have a feeling it doesn't feel like it, though. I'm getting at this moment, though, it doesn't feel like it, but it literally is judgment in your favor. It just doesn't feel like it. When this opens up for you, whatever left abruptly, it leaves an opening in your life. A big opening is what I'm feeling. Something else sees this opportunity. Something or someone. Like, when the door is open and the space is open, somebody else, I feel like there's another person here, is not expecting this to be a thing. The fact that you're free and able to do something, it could be a romance, I'll give you that, but I'm getting like it's almost like you're approaching somebody. If this is job related, by the way, it's something about your experience, which could include your knowledge, like if you have some type of I don't want to say certificate, like a degree, or like, you know, if you have a doctorate or a bachelor's degree or whatever it is, somebody's not expecting that you're going to come towards them, that they're not expecting somebody of your experience and ability and degree or whatever it is you got to show up. And the fact that you even show up because this other thing ended and you're giving this other person an opportunity, if it's business related, They're thinking somebody like you never comes along. Somebody who's dedicated and knows what they're doing and sticks with something, like those people never show up like this ever. And they're seeing you as a huge blessing, a huge blessing. Page of Rods with the Tower is like somebody shocked, but definitely like, really? Like, why? The Page of Wands makes me feel like they're kind of maybe taken back and they're trying to absorb, like, wait, why? Like, that doesn't make sense. This type of person never shows up here like this. Like, what's going on with that? They quickly figure it out, though, and they're realizing, nope, legitimate. This Taurus is legitimate, and this could work out. Door to romance? It doesn't have to be literal romance, but if it's business especially, it's just kind of like, when you show up, it's just kind of like you're the person they've been looking for. Like, you just fit the situation greatly. They love it greatly. Sure, why not? Is that the Knight of Swords? Yep. They're going to try to win you over quickly. Very quickly. Because they have this... I feel like it's almost like at first they don't believe it. But when they realize you're legit and you're willing to come this way, they're like, oh, wait, well, don't go anywhere else. Come with us. Come with us. Come with us. We want you. We definitely want you. Like, whatever you have that's your experience and your degree or whatever else is going on there, they're like, oh, don't go anywhere. We want you to be here. Door to romance on that side. Door to value on your side with the Hierophant. And that's also kind of like, well, all right, well, I'm open to this idea, but there's certain things that have to work out. I have to know this. I have to know that. This has to fit there. That has to fit there. You know, I need to... There's certain rules we got to adhere to if we're going to do this, because I'm not just going to go willy-nilly. Love that, too. They're not having a problem with that, because that's part of what they're expecting from you. That's part of the stability that you bring. If you didn't do that, that'd be more of a question, like, well, why isn't the Taurus doing that? They have the history, the experience here that shows that that's what they do, so the fact that you're still doing that when you're coming in to add into the situation... It is expected, but whatever you're adding into, there is some negotiation here. You just got to know what you're worth and just hold to it. Know what you're worth and hold to it, and keep using that to your advantage. Kind of like, this is my attitude towards this. This is my attitude towards everything. I hold true to things because this is how it should be. I don't back off. I don't do shortcuts. I don't cut slack like that. That's not necessary. I don't waste time like that. This is what I'm worth. This is what I need to get. If you want me, that's what you need to do. You need to realize that when I'm here and when I'm a part of this situation, you get the same attitude and you're going to benefit from that. Holding to it, the Five of Wands does not feel bad to me. It feels very good. I feel like that's kind of like more of an aggressive negotiating feel. I'm just one of those people, I just don't pigeonhole a card to the same meaning every time. To me, the Five of Wands here is feeling... It's aggressive negotiations, but I like how it's going because it's leading to the Two of Wands is a very good choice coming forward. And I feel like you're being chosen. You're the chosen one. The chosen one. That sounds very 80s, like the golden child feel to me, but whatever. You're the golden child. Why not? Why not? All right. Ooh, the thinking man is showing up. They're not going to negotiate too long. They're going to realize it's kind of like, well, if the Taurus doesn't get what they want from us, they're going to get it from somebody else. And we really need that Taurus. We really need that person. We really need this experience. They have a lot. They're proving. And you know what? We're lucky that we even have this chance. They're not bending. They want what they want. They give it to you. I do feel like that happens. There's a couple things here, though. The Moon card with the Ten of Cups is like, you might give in slightly. Nothing that you don't think is reasonable. So if you give in slightly, it's because there's something about the situation that you're not 100% confident with, because maybe there's an element here that you're not familiar with. It's kind of like adding this in. Like, what I've been doing is one thing. Adding this into this situation, there has to be quirks. There's going to have to be some things I have to adjust to. I have to get to know the situation a little better. It's not just apply it automatically, just like fit it in and it's going to work. I got to see what's actually supposed to happen here and how to make it work right. So I'm going to have to do some research, and there's going to be maybe some growing pains with this. That's the moon card. But the Ten of Cups is like you're feeling very valued. The woman holding the heart is telling me you're loving the situation. You're also being very careful. I do think you're going to be a little bit secretive for a good reason. Kind of like, I don't know exactly what's going on here, but I don't want people to use that against me. I'm going to kind of keep my mouth shut and pay attention and absorb things and move forward carefully and plan it out the way I need to. I need to slowly build this, and I got to make sure things actually fit. I'm not just going to assume anything here. Something is a little bit different. The moon card makes me feel like you're going into this kind of like a little suspicious, kind of like, yeah, people like me don't show up very often, but the fact that the situation needs somebody like me also makes me a little bit suspicious. So let me just tread very carefully to try to figure out what the problems are here. And there are some problems you're getting involved with here. There are going to be some major problems you're going into with this new situation, which is another reason why they really want you and they really need you and they really kind of want to cater to you where they can because they need you to help. The tied up is kind of like, I'm getting like a ball of knots. I know a Taurus, and this, it's not, I don't know if it's funny or not, but like, if they start untying those knots, they will just work at that until that freaking thing is done. Even if it's a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit there, they just won't give up. They just do not give up. And that's the thing. That's one of the reasons you're needed here, because the situation is tied up in a bunch of knots. So you're like, well, here's the first one I can take care of. Let me deal with that knot. Let me find the next knot. All right, let me do that. You just slowly but surely, it may take you a couple years, but you're like, hey, if it does, that time will come, and when it's done, I'll be the one who straightened out the string. I'll be the one who took out those knots and made the situation work right again. The situation is a little complicated. That's what I'm getting with tied up in knots. But I'm also getting with the woman holding a coin, and the sun card is like, nothing I can't handle. I got patience. I know it. Because you know going into it, it can be corrected. It just may take a long time to do it, like a couple years. But at the same time, you're like, you know what? I'm good for it. I'll be here. Give me something to work towards. And when I make that success, I'm going to make sure nobody forgets it either. Make sure they realize, hey, I put the work in to fix this. Let's remember that. So when I say we should do something a certain way, remember, I'm the one who fixed this, so I know what I'm doing. You're going to get a lot in here too. As you're untying these knots, that's another thing with Taurus. As you untie a knot, you learn what created the knot. And you also work to make sure that knot doesn't recreate. Because you're not about like, let me untie it now so it can retie tomorrow. No. You find out, first of all, how to untie it. And then second of all, how to keep it untied. That's another thing with how you're adding in here and why you're really needed. Because you're going to untie the problems and you're going to keep them untied. And then you're going to be kind of in that area where you're the one directing what happens next based on like, I fixed it. I'm keeping it working correctly, and let's remember that as I move forward. Work with me so we can keep this working well. Whatever you're going into does have a lot of work. I really don't think that scares Taurus in the least. You can tell me in the comments if you think I'm wrong. Usually the stereotypical Taurus energy is not afraid of work. It's going to take a lot of effort. Guess what? I'm good for it. That's usually the Taurus energy I'm familiar with. If there's anything else I would say here, I would feel like the moon card is kind of like, don't be worried about what's going on behind the scenes. Don't worry about traps, because I don't think there's traps here. There are people trying to hide their involvement and like what they did to create some of these knots, but nobody's trying to like set things up in a negative way, so be aware of that. People might be a little bit defensive when you figure out how they contributed to some of these knots. But defensive, I'm getting, they're not setting traps for you, but they may be defensive and try to hide their own involvement. So if you realize that, you just kind of take the knot out, acknowledge that you know how that happened, but then just like, but we don't need to talk about that with other people. If you can do that, if you're allowed to do that, you might win over a couple friends, a couple influential friends is what I'm getting. Kind of like, I see the mess you made, I'm undoing it. We don't need to push that off to everybody else that you were part of that mess, creating that mess. But work with me and don't do it again. Don't do it again. Anything else? All right, I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.